All right, let's talk circuits. We're going to crack the code today, and you know what? It all comes down to just three basic words. Once you get these, what looks like a crazy mess of wires, well, it's going to start looking like a map you can actually read. So let's dive right in. Okay, so you look at this thing, and yeah, it's a lot. It can feel pretty overwhelming, can't it? It's kind of like trying to read a secret language, or maybe a subway map for a city you've never even heard of. Where in the world do you even begin to make sense of all these lines and symbols?
Well, here's the good news. It's not as complicated as it looks. Like learning any new language, you just have to start with a basic vocabulary. And for circuits, that vocabulary is literally just three words, three core ideas. If you can get these down, this whole thing, it's gonna click. I promise.
Visit youtube.com/avidsystem and don't forget to subscribe.
So let's get to our first word, branch. And to make this super easy, let's think of our circuit diagram as a city map, okay? If it's a map, then the branches are basically just the individual streets, all the little roads that make up the city grid.
Okay, so that's the analogy. What's the actual definition? A branch is simply any single component in the circuit that has two ends, two connection points. We call them terminals. So that could be a resistor, a voltage source like a battery, or a current source. Pretty much any single doodad you see on the map is a branch.
All right, let's put that into practice. Let's find the branches on our map here. First up, we've got the voltage source. That's branch number 1. Then we have all these resistors, and each one is its own street, right? So that's 2, 3, 4, 5, and this last one makes 6. See? 6 separate components, 6 individual paths.
So there you have it. This particular circuit has exactly 6 branches. That's it. Simple, right? One word down, just 2 more to go. Okay, let's move on to our second word, nodes. Now, if the branches are the streets in our little circuit city, then what are nodes? Well, they're the intersections. They're simply the spots where all those streets meet up.
Technically speaking, a node is any point where the ends of 2 or more branches are connected together. But here's a super important thing to remember. See this connecting wire? The whole thing, no matter how long or twisty it is all part of the same node. Think of it like one big spread out intersection. So if we look at our example circuit, we can spot 4 of these intersections, 4 nodes. Let's just label them A, B, C, and D so we can keep track. You can see exactly where the different branches come together at each of these points. Now, here's where it gets a little more interesting. Not all nodes are, created equal. We've got a special term for the really busy intersections. We call them principal nodes. And a principal node is just an intersection where 3 or more branches meet up. In our city analogy, these are the major hubs, the big central squares. Let's look at our map again. See node B? We've got 1, 2, 3 branches all coming together there. And same with node D, 1, 2, 3. So B and D are our principal nodes. But look at A and C. They only connect 2 branches each, so they're just regular nodes. And trust me, knowing the difference between a regular node and a principal node is going to be super important down the line. All right, time for our third and final word, and that is loops. Sticking with our city map idea, a loop is exactly what it sounds like. It's any round trip you can take. You start at an intersection, you travel along a few streets, and you end up right back where you began, a closed path. The official definition is pretty much the same. A loop is any closed path in a circuit. They're really just 2 simple rules. 1, you have to get back to the node you started at. And 2, on your little trip, you can't pass through any other node more than once. That's it. So how do you find one? It's easy. Just pick a starting point. Any node will do. Then travel along some of the connected branches and just make your way back to where you started without doubling back through another intersection. It's like tracing a shape. Okay, let's try one right now. Let's start at node A, we can go over to B, then travel down to D, and then come right back up to A where we started. Boom, that's a perfect loop, a complete closed path. And hey, there's another one right next to it. We could start at B, go across to C, then down to D, and right back up to B. There you go, that's our second loop. Okay, and just like we had principal nodes, we have a more specific term for loops too. It's called a mesh. Now, a loop can be any closed path, big or small. But a mesh is the simplest kind of loop. It's a loop that doesn't have any other loops hiding inside of it. It's basically a single city block on our map.
And our diagram shows this perfectly. Those two little inner loops we just traced, both of those are meshes. See how there's nothing else inside them? But what if we trace the big outer path all the way around? Well, that's definitely a loop, but it is not a mesh. Why? Because it has those two smaller meshes sitting right inside of it. Okay, so there we have it. Branches, nodes, and loops are 3 magic words. But so what? Why do we even care about this vocabulary? Well, it's because this isn't just about labeling parts for fun. This is the absolute foundation for figuring out what the circuit is actually doing. And honestly, that's the most important thing to take away from all this. You literally cannot solve for voltage or current or anything really until you can first break the circuit down into these 3 things: branches, nodes, and loops. It is always step 1, no exceptions. And here is why. This is where it all pays off. We identify the nodes so we can use a powerful tool called Kirchhoff's current law. That law tells us exactly how electricity behaves at every single one of those intersections. And we identify the loops to use another tool, Kirchhoff's voltage law, which tells us how voltage behaves on any of those round trips. Those 2 laws, KCL and KVL, they're the bedrock of pretty much all circuit analysis. So let's look at that diagram one last time. It's not a scary, confusing puzzle anymore, is it? Now you can actually see it. You can see the individual streets, the branches. You can see the intersections, the nodes. And you can see all the possible round trips, the loops. It's a map, and now you know how to read it.
You've just learned the fundamental language of circuits. You've cracked the code. So the only real question now is, what are you going to analyze next?
Thanks for watching.